After 3 years of longing for Jennifer, I finally gave in and brought her home by force. I chained a silver shackle to her ankle and told her she would never leave me for the rest of her life. In the first month, she resisted with everything she had, demanding I let her go. By the second month, she started to give in, silently allowing me to sleep in the same bed. By the third month, she was pushing boundaries, interrogating me for coming home 5 minutes late, accusing me of sneaking around with some tramp. As I watched her twirling the silver chain with reddened eyes, I broke down. Who was the real psycho here? 5 minutes late again, Jennifer said coldly, sitting on the bed and staring at me. Luke, your company ends at 6. Even with traffic, it only takes 20 minutes to get home. And now you've been late by 5 minutes for 3 nights in a row. Are you messing around with some slut out there? She gave a chilling smile, her red lips curling into something dangerous. Or are you planning to bring in a roommate behind my back? I swallowed hard, my eyes fixed nervously on the woman before me, twirling the silver chain around her fingers. She slowly leaned forward, straddling me with her long legs on either side, settling on my lap and towering over me. A cold, twisted smile forming in the corners of her reddened eyes. Did you already forget what I told you yesterday? For every minute late, we add another turn. She wrapped the silver chain around my ankle. Maybe you're the one who deserves to wear this chain more than I do. I stared at her in horror, about to explain myself, but she silenced me with a forceful kiss. All I could do was scream inside. Who the hell's the real yandere here? Wasn't she supposed to be the untouchable Ice Queen? 2 months ago, I did the most messed up thing I've ever done in my life. I kidnapped my boss, Jennifer. It was the third year of my secret crush. She used to be my senior back in school, and after she graduated, I begged and groveled my way into her company through internal referral. At first, I was content just being around her. I didn't expect her to like me, but the more I saw her, the more obsessed I became. So I decided to confess. But that very day, I saw her getting all cozy with another man, holding a huge bouquet of roses. My plan fell apart before it even started. Furious and reckless, a wild and twisted idea took root. I would bring her home by force. I faked feeling unwell and asked her to take me home. Then I lured her inside under the pretense of a drink and got her drunk with a bottle of beer. Once she passed out, I dragged her to my bedroom and chained her to the bed with a thin silver chain I just bought. I was stuck then. I wanted to do something dramatic, but she was unconscious. No point going wild alone. I had to wait for her to wake up. An hour later, Jennifer stirred. She looked at the chain on her ankle and frowned. Luke, are you seriously illegally detaining me right now? Her dark eyes bored into me, and all the passion I'd had moments ago turned into a cold sweat. Still, I forced myself to sound firm. You're never leaving me. Not in this lifetime. Don't even think about escaping. That chain is made of titanium strong enough to hold an elephant, let alone you. Jennifer stared at me with a strange expression and cut straight to the point. You like me? My face turned beet red. I stammered. Yeah, I've liked you for 3 years. But you didn't just ignore me, you went off with another guy. I couldn't let that happen. From now on, you're staying right here. I pulled out all the twisted lines I'd seen in obsessive love stories. Your eyes should only see me. Your thoughts should only be about me. Your body belongs to me, and no one else. Jennifer glared at me. Never gonna happen. You better let me go now. I'm not gonna give in. I barked a few more threats and ran out of the bedroom, shaken. I was already regretting it. This was illegal. A straight-up felony. And Jennifer was no helpless girl. She looked like an ice-cold goddess. Sure, but I'd heard she was a black belt in Taekwondo and had trained in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I'd seen her take down a creep harassing her once. Just one move and the guy was on the ground. That chain wasn't really titanium. It was a cheap dog leash I bought online, no thicker than my pinky. If she gave it a good yank, it would snap. She could probably beat me to death if she wanted to. But damn, I was just that into her. I bit down hard on my resolve. If I die under the peony, at least I die a happy ghost. I was determined to play the yandere. The first month, Jennifer stayed true to her word. She resisted to the bitter end. Every time I entered the bedroom, she gave me a look like I was already dead. I didn't even dare touch her. A few times I snuck into the room at night, but just as I reached out to touch her, her eyes would open. The moonlight in them made her look like a beautiful vampire awakening from slumber. It scared the hell out of me, and I never tried again. But she didn't leave either. Somehow, she believed my nonsense. That thin chain, like a tiny stick meant to hold back an elephant, actually kept her in place. Luckily, it was long enough that she could still use the ensuite bathroom, so it didn't really get in the way. I figured brute force wasn't working, so I switched to emotional tactics. Every day I'd go to her room and ramble about how long I'd liked her. She never responded. Whenever I told her how much I adored her, she turned away, like just hearing it disgusted her. By the end of the month, I started to lose hope. Maybe it really wasn't meant to be. You can't force love. Maybe I just admire her from afar and do the right thing, send her back and turn myself in. Deep down, I knew someone like Jennifer would never fall for someone like me. She was always the brightest star in the crowd, and I was just the dusty background she never noticed. Falling for Jennifer was way too easy. Back when I joined the arts club, I had to perform at the evening gala. I'd planned a duet with a girl piano and violin. But the day before the show, her jealous boyfriend made her cancel and threatened to dump her if she went on stage with me. I was a wreck. Just when I was falling apart, Jennifer walked by, picked up the violin, and said, "Start playing. I'll accompany you." The performance was a hit. As the final note ended, the crowd erupted in applause. I later learned Jennifer wasn't even part of the club. She was the student council president. She just happened to walk by and saw me looking pitiful, so she helped out. When I tried to thank her later, she just nodded and walked away. To her, it was probably just a random moment in a busy life. But to me, from that day on, she became the only person I saw. After she graduated and started her own company, I followed her there. But she always treated me with distant indifference. Even now, after bringing her home in chains, Jennifer still refused to give in. I sighed and decided to go take another look at her tonight, get my fill before letting her go. What I didn't expect was that Jennifer wasn't asleep this time. Just as I stepped up to the bed, she suddenly grabbed my wrist. As my soul nearly flew out of my body, she opened her eyes. In the dead silence of midnight, the only sound was my racing heartbeat and her hoarse voice. "Luke, are you out of your mind?" Maybe it was just my imagination, but I thought I saw a flash of exasperated pity in her eyes. I stammered, completely tongue-tied. She sat up, rubbing her temples. "You really want to sleep with me that badly?" I nodded. "Obviously. Why else would I have tied her up?" Jennifer looked at me for a long moment, like some rich girl forced into prostitution finally giving in. "Fine," she said heavily. "Come sleep here tonight." "But listen, we're just sleeping, nothing else." Bliss came too fast. I nodded furiously. "Nothing else? Fine. I was already in bed with her. Wasn't that close enough?" Jennifer shot me a side eye, clearly unimpressed. "Bring your own pillow." From that night on, my dream came true. I finally got to sleep in the same bed with Jennifer. I watched her every night in pure happiness, like even my dreams had turned pink. Unfortunately, every morning Jennifer woke up with a dark expression. Her body may have surrendered, but her pride clearly hadn't. Another month went by like this. She started getting annoyed. What used to be her cold indifference turned into obsessive micromanaging down to what time I got off work. Strangely, the company was still running just fine without her. No one seemed to notice the boss was missing. Business was booming. Recently, due to staff shortages, they brought in a batch of interns. One of them, assigned to me, was Jessica, a college student who hadn't even graduated yet. She was 168 centimeters tall, with a small beauty mark on her high-bridged nose and long, straight lashes that cast shadows when she looked down. She had a sweet mouth, calling me bro with every sentence, and she was diligent too. After work, she'd follow me around asking all kinds of questions. I admitted I'm weak for pretty faces. Even though Jennifer was all I had in my heart, who could resist a gorgeous girl, genuinely curious? So I came home half an hour late for the first time. When I walked in, Jennifer's face was darker than the night outside. As I brought her dinner, she dropped herself onto my lap and buried her head in my shoulder. I thought she'd finally come around and was floating in joy when she suddenly asked, "Why do you smell like perfume?" I froze, realizing it must be Jessica's faint scent. Probably rubbed off when I got too close showing her how to use the office printer. What is she? Part bloodhound? She could smell that? I didn't answer right away, and Jennifer let out a cold laugh. Always saying how much you like me, but not even 3 months in and you're already bored. Got yourself a side chick, huh? Figures. Guys never cherish what they already have. Luke, I finally see you for who you are. Wait, why did she sound like a betrayed wife? I quickly explained. No, the intern just didn't know how to use the printer. I was just helping her out. Doesn't even know how to use a printer? Has our company's hiring bar dropped that low? Do we just let anyone in now? Jennifer's face darkened further. She pulled a phone out from under the pillow. What's her name? I'll have HR fire her. My eyes widened. Wait, where'd you get that phone? Didn't I confiscate it? If she had a phone, why didn't she call someone to rescue her? Jennifer paused, visibly thrown off for half a second. Then she casually tossed the phone aside, pushed me down onto the bed, and the light spilled over her collarbone, casting shadows that made my head spin. I forgot all about the phone. Jennifer perched lightly on top of me, her smile sending chills down my spine. She pulled the silver chain somehow removed from her own ankle tight around my wrist and fastened it to the bedpost. Her voice was detached. You came home half an hour late. I'm going to punish you. After that, our relationship entered this weird, blurry phase. She never said anything about it, and I never asked. I was afraid the answer wouldn't be what I wanted to hear. I'd grown used to chasing her, and when you love someone too much, it makes you a coward. Maybe because I was doing too well in love, karma decided to mess with my job. The next night, as I was getting ready to leave after work, my team leader Kristen leaned half-casually against my desk. I frowned slightly. Kristen had always treated me like I didn't exist, acting superior every time she spoke to me. But ever since she found out my family bought me a fully paid apartment in the city, she'd had her eyes on me. She was from the countryside, and with her salary alone, buying property in the city was a pipe dream. So she started bothering me. Out of respect for her position, I always turned her down gently, but she clung like gum on a shoe. Luke, there's a new hot pot place in East City. How about dinner with your leader tonight? Great chance to bond. I was already in a foul mood and couldn't hide it completely. Sorry, I've got plans tonight. Plans? Got yourself a girlfriend or something? I paused, then nodded. Yeah, Kristen still wouldn't let it go. Yeah, right. No one's ever seen your girlfriend. You just nervous about dinner with me? Don't worry, I'm super easy to get along with. Excuse me, I need to go. I couldn't take it anymore, and walked around her. Seeing me not take the bait, Kristen's face twisted. Luke, what the hell are you acting so high and mighty for? Just 'cause you bought a damn apartment? Let me tell you something, I could buy one anytime I want. That dump you bought? That's not even in the city, it's the suburbs. I wouldn't even look at it if it were free. I ignored her and kept heading for the elevator. Just as she grabbed my arm to keep pestering me, a slender, pale hand suddenly yanked her off me. Jessica sneered. Jealous someone else bought a place? Go sell yourself if you need the money. Oh, wait. She gave Kristen a slow once-over, laughing coldly. Looking like that, you'd probably have to pay people to take you. Kristen's lips trembled with rage. She struggled several times but couldn't break free, and every insult was shot right back at her by Jessica. In the end, she left with a stormy face and a bruised ego. I turned to Jessica. Thanks. The fierceness vanished from Jessica's face in an instant, replaced by the bright eyes of a sweet college girl. No problem, Luke. If you're too polite to deal with trash like her, just leave it to me. She's lucky I went easy. Let me drive you home. It's raining out. I thought for a moment and nodded. The car's a bit old, hope you don't mind. Jessica was driving an old Honda that had clearly seen better days. As I buckled up, I couldn't help but say, thanks again for what you did today. But Kristen's the petty type, I'm worried she'll come after you. Jessica curled her lips into a smile. You think I'm scared of her? She steered the wheel with one hand, the watch on her wrist, worth more than 10 of the car she was driving. Rumor had it, she was some rich heiress, slumming it for the experience. Poverty could be faked, but the effortless elegance she carried couldn't be. Well, if she had that kind of backing, then Kristen wouldn't be a problem. I sighed in relief. But Luke, are you really going home to see your girlfriend? Jessica glanced at me. Well, not exactly a girlfriend. I didn't know how to explain my situation with Jennifer. I couldn't exactly say she was a woman I was illegally detaining and sleeping with. So I gave a vague answer. Just a friend. Jessica smiled. That's good. I thought I didn't stand a chance. I'd noticed Jessica's interest. She joined as a management trainee, but the veteran employees, afraid she'd one day take their spot, refused to mentor her properly and dumped her on me. I genuinely tried to teach her well these past weeks, and she grew increasingly attached. She found a million excuses each day to come see me, to the point even our coworkers noticed. They asked if she was chasing after me, but I liked Jennifer. No matter how pretty a college girl was, I could only admire from afar. I waved my hand. Company rules forbid office romance. Besides, I'm 3 years older than you. Go find a younger guy. Don't waste your time on me. Jessica just smiled sweetly and said nothing. When we got downstairs, before I could even undo my seatbelt, she leaned in. That familiar fragrance drifted to my nose, mixed with something elusive and hard to define. Your seatbelt stuck. She was too close. I didn't dare move. A few seconds later, she freed the belt. Luke, aren't you going to invite me up for tea? There was an open hope in her eyes. Maybe the car was just too warm, but the heat on my face wouldn't go away. I fumbled with the door. Not tonight. Maybe another time. Thanks again. Then I bolted up the stairs like I was escaping. I had timed my return perfectly that day, but that little detour made me 5 minutes late. I looked up at Jennifer staring down at me with that chilling glare. 1 punishment per minute? Damn, I'd be stuck here till dawn. My brain spun. I shoved her back and snapped. How dare you glare at me? Do you know what I went through today? I got harassed at work. What kind of crap employees are you hiring? Jennifer froze mid-movement, her brows furrowing tightly. Who harassed you? I avoided her eyes. Kristen from marketing. Ever since she found out I bought a place, she's been pestering me for dinner and won't take no for an answer. Jennifer rolled out of bed, picked up her phone, and a few seconds later, someone answered. Her voice sent a chill down my spine. Is there a Kristen in marketing? Good, tell her to pack up and leave tomorrow. And inform all our partner companies if they hire her, we cut ties. She hung up and turned to me. Why didn't you tell me about this earlier? I muttered. What are we? Really? What's the point of telling you? Jennifer went quiet, her expression dark. Suddenly I remembered Jessica's question from earlier. I lowered my gaze. Jennifer, what are we exactly? What do you really think of us? She was willing to play this twisted game with me, to share so many intimate moments. But she never once defined what we were. Maybe it was just a bad day. My thoughts were a mess. Maybe Jennifer was just bored and using me for entertainment. If she actually cared, why was she always so vague? I lacked courage because I loved her too much. But what about her? Maybe she just didn't like me at all. My throat tasted bitter. I threw the silver chain she'd ripped off back onto the bed. You don't need to answer me now. But if our feelings are mutual, I hope I'll see you here after work tomorrow. If not, then go ahead and leave. I turned and walked out, feeling clumsy and defeated. It wasn't that I didn't want to talk to her directly. It's just that even looking at her made me shrink inside. I couldn't bear the thought of hearing her rejection out loud. A woman like Jennifer would never be short of admirers most better than me in every way. What could she possibly see in me? I couldn't take it if she said no. We didn't speak a word the rest of the night. The house was dead silent, except for the occasional soft clink of a silver chain from the bedroom. I didn't sleep a wink. The next day, I was completely out of it at work. And of course, it had to be one of the busiest days. Management had us calling clients nonstop. I pushed through the whole day in a fog, and finally, when it was over, I dragged my exhausted self to the front door. I took a deep breath and unlocked it. I'd thought about stalling, but every minute I delayed made me more anxious. In the end, I just came back. Ripped the bandage off, right? Who knows? Maybe Jennifer didn't entirely hate me. We'd spent so many nights tangled together, her breath whispering my name. At least in those moments, I believed she loved me too. I closed my eyes and stepped inside. The living room was dead quiet, not a sound. My blood ran cold. I bolted toward the bedroom. It was empty. The only thing left was the dull glint of the silver chain lying on the bed. The blanket was folded perfectly, the sheets flat like no one had ever slept there. The soft, golden dusk caught the floating dust in the air. I stood there alone in the fractured light, slowly pressing a hand to my chest. Strange. There wasn't any wound. So why did it hurt so much? It felt like something delicate inside me had shattered, leaving behind nothing but cold, lifeless fragments. Maybe it was better this way. In the middle of my spinning thoughts, a voice inside me said, I got to sleep with her for so long, that's already more than I ever deserved. What more was I hoping for? We were never from the same world to begin with. I picked up the silver chain. It had long lost its warmth. In my hand, it felt like a lump of ice. Jennifer never showed up again. She didn't even return to the company. I figured she was avoiding me out of awkwardness. Her number had been disconnected, and I couldn't reach her. I lay alone on the bed where she'd slept for 3 months, and when morning came, I blocked every way to contact her. No matter how hard I tried to convince myself, I just couldn't move on. Those warm embraces in the dead of night turned out to be nothing but illusions. From beginning to end, I'd been nothing but a clown. Jennifer never liked me, not even a little. Summer rain came without warning. As soon as I got off work, it started pouring. I didn't have an umbrella and couldn't get a cab, so I just walked home in the rain. Passing by a school, I saw a teenage couple. He took off his uniform jacket and covered her head with it. The two of them dashing through the rain, clinging tightly together. Must be nice 2 people in the rain, and it's called romantic. 1 person alone, and you're just a fool. The rain kept getting heavier. I could barely open my eyes. But maybe that was for the best. That way I wouldn't know whether the wetness on my face was from the rain or from tears. Honestly, it was pathetic. I wasn't 17 anymore, and yet here I was, a mess over heartbreak. Just as I was wiping my face blindly, a car horn blared behind me. A black G-Class SUV pulled up through the rain. Jessica jumped out, shielding her head with her hand, wearing a tank top and shorts. Luke, get in! After I dried my hair with the clothes Jessica handed me, I looked at the logo in silence. If I remembered correctly, I saw this hoodie last month at the boutique. An LV plaid hoodie, 17,000 yuan, nearly 2 months of my salary. I looked at the completely unfazed Jessica, speechless. Do you know how much this hoodie costs? Jessica glanced down. No idea. Picked it up at the mall when I went home last week to escape the heat. Damn rich people. She could casually grab a 17 LV hoodie, and I still had to check the price tag on a pair of underwear. What's wrong? She glanced over, the smile fading from her lips. Who upset you? I gave a bitter laugh. No one upset me. Just got rejected. I thought about it. Not even a breakup. More like a confession that got turned down. Jessica didn't say anything. After a while, she reached out and touched me. Then it's her loss. Luke, reach into my pocket, she suddenly said. Her pants were clearly stuffed with something, and I hesitated, trying not to touch her as I fished it out. It was a small velvet blue box. I opened it to find a tie clip inside, rimmed with tiny diamonds, delicate and beautiful. I saw it the other day and thought it really suited you. Her eyes were warm with a smile. I was startled. No, this is way too expensive. I can't accept it. Just take it as a thank you gift for everything you've taught me. Please don't refuse. I'm resigning tomorrow to go back to school. I froze. In the end, I shoved the tie clip back to her. I appreciate it, but the gift isn't necessary. Will you come back in the future? As soon as I said it, I realized how dumb the question was. A rich girl like Jessica probably had family businesses lined up. No way she'd come work at someone else's company again. Sure enough, she looked at me. Luke, are you going to miss me? But once I graduate, I have to go back to work for my family. I probably won't come back to YA. I see. I felt a little melancholy. My time with Jessica had been genuinely fun. She was the kind of person who made others smile easily. The thought of not seeing her anymore left a bit of a hole in my chest. But I'll still come visit you, she said, winking. Downstairs, Jessica walked me to the building. Just as I was about to go in, she stopped me. I looked up. Jessica pulled out the tie clip and gently fastened it for me. She straightened my tie with care. We were standing so close I could count each of her long eyelashes. For a second, my heart skipped a beat. Just one step away, the rain poured down like a waterfall outside. But here, in this tiny space, it was just the two of us. Jessica looked up at me, and for the first time, I noticed how light her eyes were, a warm honey amber color. Luke, her words were suddenly cut off by a sharp voice. What are you two doing? I spun around and saw Jennifer standing in the rain under an umbrella. She wore a perfectly tailored black business dress, and the glint on her gold-rimmed glasses flashed with sarcasm. No wonder you haven't been answering my calls or texts. Found someone new already. Jennifer's lips curled into a sneer, a mix of contempt and bitterness. Luke, you're something else. Telling me how much you like me, do you say that to every woman? I was shocked at first, then anger surged through me. I clenched my fists. Jennifer, are you insane? You're the one who left, and now you're blaming me. What? Just because you don't like me, I'm supposed to grovel around like some lapdog? Jennifer frowned. I left because my father was hospitalized in the U.S. I called you. You didn't pick up. I texted you. No reply. Isn't it because you had your eyes on her? She pointed at Jessica. I was stunned. I did recall a few calls from an unknown number that day, but my info had been leaked recently, and I'd been getting constant spam calls about loans. I thought it was just more of that and ignored it. But I really didn't get any texts. I thought for a second and quickly pulled out my phone. Sure enough, in the spam folder was a message from that number. Luke, my dad got into a car accident in the U.S. I had to leave urgently. I thought carefully about what you said. I wasn't just playing with you, but I don't want to express my feelings over text. I wanted to come back and tell you in person. Wait for me. I stood there, frozen, staring at the message. You changed your number. After a long pause, I said numbly, that line was deactivated. It was my secondary number. I gripped the phone tightly, frantically trying to explain. I didn't see it. The number was blocked and sent to spam. But Jennifer only looked at me, cold and expressionless. Luke, I was supposed to stay with my dad for another month, but the moment he was out of danger, I flew back. Do you know what I went through these past 2 weeks? I tried to message you, but you had deleted and blocked me. I texted you and you never replied. I was panicking. I caught the earliest flight back. I thought maybe it was just a misunderstanding, but she looked at Jessica, let out a cold laugh. Turns out it wasn't a misunderstanding at all. You just moved on. It was a misunderstanding, Was it? Jennifer said flatly. Then tell me, what exactly were you two doing just now? Luke, I was gone for less than 2 weeks. I stood there, speechless. Even if I tried to lie to myself, I couldn't deny the tension just now was intimate. Jennifer didn't spare me a single glance. She turned and got into her car. The black Rolls-Royce disappeared into the rain without a trace. Luke, was she the one who rejected your confession? Jessica asked quietly, looking down. I nodded gloomily and unpinned the tie clip, handing it back to her. I really can't accept this, but thank you anyway. Jessica was stunned for a moment, then gave a faint, bitter smile. You're really heartless, huh? Fine, I'll take it back this time. But next time, don't turn me down. I was too out of it to catch her tone. I just mumbled goodbye and went upstairs. The apartment was dark in the overcast dusk. I sat on the edge of the bed, staring at Jennifer's message. She said she liked me. Turns out she really did. I slowly buried my face in my knees, but I'd been the one to push her away. I'll admit my heart wavered for a moment when Jessica appeared. I thought maybe, somewhere in the world, someone would like me. If Jennifer didn't, then maybe I shouldn't like her either. What must it have felt like, on the other side of the ocean, when she tried to reach out and didn't dare? I covered my face. I was such an idiot. I ruined everything. The next day, Jennifer returned to the company. I both longed to see her and dreaded it. When we ran into each other in the elevator, I froze, unsure what to say. She, however, walked right past me without even glancing my way. She really seemed like she wanted nothing to do with me anymore. I spent days racking my brain on how to apologize. Just when I was considering barging into her office and begging on my knees, a coworker nudged me with a knowing grin. "Luke, did you hear? The boss is getting married." I froze mid-task. "What?" "President Jennifer, the icy goddess, finally got scooped up." He shoved his phone in my face, grinning. "It's all over the company WeChat. She's engaged to the third son of the Runyu Group." In the photo, the man was tall and handsome. The woman beside him, stunning. A perfect match. Even I had to admit they looked good together. The guys in the company are crushed. But come on, with Jennifer's background, she was never going to fall for some rags to riches fairy tale. It was always going to be a marriage between elites, he went on. But I couldn't hear a word anymore. I stood up abruptly, startling him. "Dude, what are you doing?" I didn't answer. I just walked straight to Jennifer's office. I had to ask her myself. But just as I reached the door, a girl came out. She wore what was clearly an expensive suit, carried herself with poise, and held Jennifer's hand with interlocked fingers. "I'll come see you tomorrow. Don't forget to eat properly," she said, smiling. Jennifer stood behind her, eyes full of warmth. "Okay, text me when you're home." It was the first time I'd ever seen her look so gentle. Outside of bed, she'd never treated me this way. I froze, staring blankly. The man noticed me and asked, puzzled, "Jennifer, who's this?" Jennifer glanced at me with eyes that held no warmth. "No one important," she said, and walked away arm in arm with him. I stood there, stunned, my feet rooted like ice. It was like the blood in my heart had drained out. No wonder it felt like it had stopped beating. No one important. Yeah, I guess that's what I was, just someone who didn't matter. A colleague passed by, patting me on the shoulder. "Luke, what's up?" "Looking for President Jennifer? She just saw her fiancé off." "Maybe come back later." I lowered my head, hand pressed to my chest, trying to smile. But even I knew how twisted and pathetic that smile looked. "It's nothing," I said softly. "I'm not looking for her anymore." The next day, I handed in my resignation. My manager and coworkers tried to talk me out of it, asking why I was leaving when things were going so well. I was silent for a long time before I finally said, "Because I no longer have a reason to stay." I joined this company because of Jennifer. Now that she was engaged, it was time for me to leave. On the day I left with my cardboard box, I ran into her by the elevator. She was still dressed in her sharp business suit, the untouchable Ice Queen, completely different from the woman once chained to my bed. She glanced at the box in my hands, her tone unreadable. "You're leaving?" I nodded without a word. "You really are something else, Luke," she suddenly said with a smile, but it didn't reach her eyes. I didn't know what she meant, and I no longer cared. Things had come to this point. There was no way she'd give up her engagement for me. Chasing after her now would only make me look even more pathetic. I held on to my last shred of dignity. "I wish you two a lifetime of happiness." Jennifer just stared at me, saying nothing. The elevator arrived quickly. I turned and walked away, but her gaze burned into my back, refusing to fade. News of her engagement spread fast, even making the local paper. The photo showed a stunning couple. Everyone called them a match made in heaven. The engagement was set for June. I don't even know how I got through the days that followed. I threw myself into job hunting, anything to stay busy, because the moment I had free time, I would start thinking about her. I locked the bedroom where she had once slept. It became forbidden territory in my home. I threw out all the bedding we'd tangled in countless times, as if I could throw away the memories too. During this time, Jessica visited me often. Sometimes it was a new bubble tea place in East City she wanted to try. Other times it was a new omakase restaurant in West City she asked me to check out with her. At first, I refused her every time. I even lowered my pride to tell her I wasn't in the mood for romance. But she always smiled and said, "That's okay. I'll come again next time. Maybe then you'll say yes." Eventually, I couldn't bring myself to keep turning her down, so I went out with her a few times. I had to admit, there's something magical about young women. Being with her really did lighten my mood. When she offered me a bite of her candied hawthorn, I actually forgot all the pain. But every night when I came home alone, the memories would crawl back, clinging like a curse, haunting me the moment I closed my eyes. One day, Jessica invited me again. There are lots of seagulls at the beach lately. Want to go feed them together? We walked barefoot along the sand. The salty sea breeze carried a fresh dampness. I suddenly felt so light. Luke, what kind of woman do you like? Jessica tilted her head and asked. I thought for a moment. Someone who looks amazing in a suit. Seems proper on the outside, but is secretly a little wild. Someone I can talk to about anything. And it'd be great if she wore gold-rimmed glasses. Before I even finished, an image of her had already formed in my mind. Not far from us, a young couple was drawing hearts in the sand, laughing and chasing each other. After tiring themselves out, they sat close together on the beach. The girl suddenly asked, "What if we break up someday? Then I'll win you back," the boy replied. "And if you can't?" she pressed. He thought for a moment and said, "Then I'll just keep trying. Keep trying until I do." Luke, Jessica seemed like she wanted to say something, but my mind was in chaos. I couldn't hear a word. Suddenly, the bells of a distant church rang. It hit me then. Today was Jennifer's engagement day. She would be slipping on a ring given by another man, promising to love him forever. She'd share a bed with someone else, become part of someone else's world, and from that moment on, have nothing to do with me. The sea breeze blew through my hair, and a feeling I couldn't describe swelled in my chest. In that moment, I needed to see Jennifer. Once that thought surfaced, I couldn't stop it. "Sorry, I have to go," I said to Jessica, flustered. "Something urgent came up." Jessica stared at me for a long while, her eyes filled with emotion. "You're going to see Jennifer, aren't you?" I nodded. "Yeah." She lowered her gaze and, after a long pause, smiled faintly, a little helplessly. "It's hard to get a cab to the church from here. I'll drive you." I didn't know what to say, so I just thanked her awkwardly. Jessica sighed. "Don't thank me. Just if she doesn't treat you right, come back to me." I was a nervous wreck the whole ride. I was terrified I'd be too late, and the ceremony would already be over. Jessica drove straight to the church doors. I jumped out and sprinted in. I'd never run so fast in my life. I just wanted to get there, to see her. 1 second sooner. I threw open the church doors. The priest stood in white robes. Jennifer was next to him, bathed in a soft light from the rose window that made her look angelic. I stopped, panting, eyes wide. The church was empty except for the two of them. That man from the photo wasn't here. Had I arrived too early? Or too late? Just as I was spiraling, Jennifer suddenly smiled in relief. She turned to the priest and said, "My fiancé is here. Let's begin." I stood there dumbfounded. "Wait, aren't you supposed to be getting engaged to that Run-You guy today?" Jennifer walked over and took my hand. "He and I are just business partners." He didn't want an arranged marriage with someone he didn't love, so I agreed to invest in his startup to help him break free from his family. "And he pretended to be my fiancé in front of you. You tricked me," I gasped. Jennifer laughed lightly. "What else could I do?" "Luke, I waited and waited for you to come to me. Then you quit your job instead of talking to me. If I hadn't done this, would you have come at all?" "Why didn't you just come to me?" I said, frustrated and amused. "Why should I?" She looked down at me smugly. "You were the one flirting with another girl in front of me, and I'm supposed to come crawling back to you? Where's my pride?" She paused. "But at least you didn't disappoint me." I couldn't help but laugh in disbelief. What if I hadn't come today? Jennifer was silent for a while before she answered. "Then I would have come up with another plan." She squeezed my hand, then pulled out a delicate diamond ring and handed it to me. "Consider this a loan. You can buy me a proper one later." The priest beamed at us. Jennifer looked serious. "Luke, you still owe me an apology, but I owe you something too. I really like you. Actually, I noticed you a long time ago, but when I was little, my dad cheated, and my mom fell into depression and took her own life. Ever since then, I've been afraid of relationships." I was stunned, realizing she'd never dated anyone in all these years. Not only had she never dated, but she'd never even been seen close to any man. For a while, people had even secretly wondered if she was into women. If she hadn't been so hard to get close to, I wouldn't have come up with that ridiculous plan to chain her up at home. I was scared my partner would betray me. Scared I'd become the kind of man I hate like my father. But now I've figured it out. I know I won't betray you. I'll be good to you forever. I'll keep you by my side for the rest of our lives. So will you marry me? My eyes welled up. With trembling hands, I slid the ring onto her finger. I will. 2 months later, Jennifer and I got married. Mostly because she was in a hurry. She said if we didn't get married soon, I might end up attracting some random girls again. On our wedding day, Jessica came too. She had dark circles under her eyes and a bitter look on her face. Luke, what does she have that I don't? She's older, not as young and pretty as me, right? I smiled and held Jennifer's hand. But I love her. Jessica sighed and pulled a box from her pocket. That tie clip from before. You wouldn't take it then. Now it's a wedding gift. You'll accept it this time, right? I took the box from her. Thank you. Don't mention it. If she ever treats you badly, come find me. I'll be waiting. You'll be waiting forever then. Jennifer sneered. Not even in the next life. After the wedding, Jennifer moved into my place. I asked if she was out of her mind, giving up her fancy villa in the hills to squeeze into my tiny 90-square-meter apartment. Jennifer said nothing. She walked into the bedroom and came back out a moment later, the silver chain wrapped around her wrist. If I remember right, you still owe me 5 hours. She grinned with a sultry smile. Let's get started. Wait. I panicked. That was ages ago. You're still holding on to that? Jennifer shoved me down. One more word and I'll add another hour.